You check your statement, and somehow you're paying more again this month. Why are your credit card processing fees so high? You ask your processor, and you get a runaround instead of a straight answer. Here's the thing, there is an answer. 5 of them, actually. And in this video, we're breaking down all 5 reasons your fees keep climbing, plus exactly how to fix each one. Stick around, because reason 5 quietly costs the most, and almost no processor willingly tells you about it. Let's get one thing straight up front. You can't eliminate processing fees entirely, but most businesses are paying far more than they should, and the reasons are specific. Quick context, your processing fees really come down to 3 things: interchange that goes to the card issuing bank, assessments that go to card brands like Visa, MasterCard, or Discover, and finally, your processor's markup. The first 2 are fixed. The markup is where you're overpaying. Now, you'll see other charges on your statement too. Monthly fees, chargeback fees, a handful of add-ons. They're real and they add up, but they're not where the bulk of your cost is hiding. The big money is in the markup and the pricing model built around it. That's what these 5 reasons are really about. By the end of this video, you'll know which of these are affecting you the most and how to fix each one. Let's start with the biggest offender. If your statement uses words like qualified, mid-qualified, or non-qualified, it's worth a closer look, because tiered pricing is the hardest of the common pricing models to read. Here's how it works. Your processor sorts every transaction into one of those 3 buckets, each with its own rate. The part to understand is that the processor decides which bucket each transaction lands in, and a lot of them end up in the higher cost tiers. Part of that is the cards themselves. Most cards today carry rewards, and rewards cards come with higher interchange, so they naturally land in the pricier tiers. The trade-off with tiered pricing is that it blends interchange and the markup into one number, so you see your total rate but not how it breaks down. Tiered pricing isn't automatically a bad deal. The problem is visibility. If you can't see your real rate, you can't tell whether you're overpaying. The fix is to get on a model you can actually read. Interchange Plus is the most transparent option. You see the actual interchange cost on every transaction, plus a fixed, transparent markup. No buckets, no mystery. You know exactly what the banks get and what your processor gets. Here's something most business owners don't realize. Processors price on risk. When a transaction looks riskier, it gets silently downgraded to a higher rate, and you pay the difference without ever being told. What triggers a downgrade? Keyed-in card entries instead of tapped or dipped, missing address verification or CVV checks, missing transaction data. Each one quietly bumps your cost, so the fix is to lower your risk. First, take card-present payments whenever possible. Swiped, dipped, or tapped transactions cost less than keyed-in ones. Next, make sure AVS and CVV verification are turned on. Then settle your transactions within 24 hours, since late settlements raise your risk profile. And finally, if you're a B2B business, make sure your account is set up to process Level 2 and Level 3 data. Then pass that extra detail with each transaction, like tax amounts and purchase order numbers. Cleaner transactions qualify for cleaner rates. Now, let's talk about the small stuff, because it adds up fast. Junk fees are those little recurring add-ons buried in your statement. We're talking PCI, non-compliance fees, statement fees, batch fees, monthly minimums, gateway fees, and early termination fees. Individually, they look harmless. Together, they can quietly drain hundreds or even thousands of dollars a year. Here's the fix. Remember, interchange and assessments are not negotiable, but the markup and most of these add-ons absolutely are. Pull a written quote from a competing processor. Ask your current provider to match it, and be genuinely ready to switch if they won't. And here's your action beat. Pause this video, pull your last statement, and count how many of these fees you're paying right now. Seriously, go look. This one's sneaky. You sign up at a great intro rate. Then every few months, your rate ticks up a little. No announcement, no explanation. And if you're on tiered pricing, the creep is basically invisible. It just hides inside those buckets. The fix is the effective rate self-check. It's simple. Take your total monthly fees and divide them by your total card volume. That's your effective rate. Track it month over month, and if that number starts climbing while your business stays the same, that's your red flag. Call your processor and ask why. And here it is, the trap we promised in the intro. The one that quietly costs the most: equipment leases and long-term contracts. Here's the problem. A lease terminal might cost you many times its actual value by the time the lease ends. Pair that with a multi-year contract, an auto-renewal clause you never noticed, and a steep early termination fee, and you're locked into overpaying with no easy way out. The fix is simple. Buy your hardware outright. It almost always costs less in the long run. Avoid multi-year lock-ins, and before you sign anything, read the exit terms. If a provider needs to trap you to keep you, that tells you everything. So let's zoom out. Tiered buckets, silent downgrades, junk fees, rate creep, lock-in contracts. Notice anything? Here's the pattern. Almost every one of these comes back to the same thing: a lack of transparency. You're being charged for things you can't easily see. A transparent processor fixes several of them at once. That's actually why we built Kurv on transparent pricing, Interchange Plus, or flat rate, so you can always see what you're paying. Nothing buried. One honest note before we wrap up. You'll see videos out there claiming you can eliminate fees entirely with surcharging or dual pricing. To be clear, that offsets the cost onto your customer. It doesn't eliminate it, and the rules vary by state. That's a different topic for a different video. Let's recap the 5 fixes in one fast pass. Get on transparent pricing. Interchange Plus or flat rate so you know what you're actually paying. Lower your transaction risk to avoid downgrades. Negotiate away the junk fees. Run the effective rate self-check every month. And buy your hardware instead of leasing it. Want to know exactly which of these 5 you're paying? Send us your statement for a free review at kurvpay.com/pricing. We'll show you which of these fees are hitting you and what your real effective rate is. It's the fastest way to lower your credit card processing fees. If this video helps you out, give it a like, subscribe, and drop a comment with the sneakiest fee you found on your statement. And if you want your business to stay ahead of the curve, check out Kurv. Until next time.